What's up, everybody? Gajewski here, back again talking college basketball. And today it is Monday, January the 19th. Happy MLK Day. That means we get some daytime basketball. That means we get the College Football National Championship. It is below zero here in Wisconsin. Still excited for all the action, but if you've never been here and you like this content, please consider subscribing to the channel or leaving a like on the video. We're a small channel. Those two things help us get in front of new viewers, help us grow, and really just continue doing this. So thank you if you have done that. It truly does mean a lot. We talk about sides and totals on the show throughout the game breakdowns. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. We're going to kick things off with, on paper, should be the biggest game. I don't know if it actually is. Providence takes on Marquette in the Big East. Currently, this is a pick'em. I saw some Marquette money coming in. I'm not sure if this is going to go through one or what's going to happen in the game. The total is 166. Both these teams play at a crazy tempo. Providence is 13th. Marquette is 70th. But I think you could argue it has not quite been the season that either team wants. Injuries, Jason Edwards has missed the last two games for Providence as he deals with plantar fasciitis. Marquette has had guys on and off the floor throughout the season. Zaid Lowry leaves the team. Ben Gold has been dealing with something. He played last game despite being listed questionable. Sean Jones has been on and off the floor, and it overall just has not been the season Marquette wanted. Resume-wise, Providence is still 64th in the country. When we reference rankings, these will come from KenPom. They're just more accurate than the AP, other ranking services, whatever it may have you. But anyway, they're 9-9. Some bad losses on their resume. We're going to go outside the top 50. They played close in most of them. They lost to Virginia Tech, who's number 57 in OT. Dropped a game to Colorado on a road that's a tough place to play. Lost to 56 Butler in double OT. And then they lost to number 50 Seton Hall at home by 5 points. Worst loss, Xavier. It was on the road, but Xavier's number 92 in the country. As far as redeeming qualities, Providence played UConn to overtime, who's number 11, which is kind of a feather in their cap, even though it was a loss. And then they played Villanova relatively close at home as well. That was 6 points. They have 2 top 100 wins. St. John's by far their best win, and then they did beat number 51 Creighton at home. This is the 21st ranked strength of schedule, so it's been a tough road for Providence. Marquette is similar. They are, 22nd in strength of schedule. But obviously, instead of mixed results, the results have been just flat out bad for Marquette. They currently are 121st. Their record is 6-13. They have losses outside the top 100 to Maryland, Georgetown, and DePaul. They have one top 100 win over Xavier. That was a 1-point victory at home. Their second best win, I think you would probably say, is Valpo. It took overtime for them to beat Valpo, and that game was also at home. Now, again, 22nd ranked strength of schedule, but you just don't have any of the results that Providence does. As far as stylistics, Providence is 214th in height. Marquette is 62nd. With that, Marquette just somehow has been inept inside. They're 261st in rebounding. Providence is 153rd. I don't really know what to say about this. Marquette has, not to rip on Ben Gold, but he stands in the corner and doesn't really rebound. None of their forwards have given really much effort on the glass, which has been a problem for them. Providence, they can shoot the ball. They play super fast. They love to play in transition. Marquette is down for that kind of style, for the record, but Providence is 57th in effective field goal percent, better inside than from the three. They are still 153rd in three-point percent. Jalen Sellers is hitting 39%. Corey Floyd is at 37%. Jason Edwards, if he can get over that plantar fasciitis, is just shy of 36%. Marquette is 100th in total defense. And believe it or not, they're actually worse on the perimeter. They're 200th in three-point percentage allowed, 187th inside. The bottom line is they're not very good anywhere, and their only defender that really stands out is Chase Ross. So if you have a team like Providence where you can put 3 shooters on the floor, you can attack the rim, that could be a problem for Marquette. Now, when Marquette's on offense, this team flat out can't shoot. 306th in effective field goal percentage. They are 310th in three-point percent, and they're taking a lot of threes. They're 137th in three-point rate. They live in transition, similar to Providence. They like to use perimeter cuts, and then they'll shoot threes off of it. Their only decent perimeter shooter is Nigel James. He's at 39%. But one thing they've done, Adrian Stevens is getting more minutes of late. He is shooting 37% from three. That's helped a lot because the guys you expected to shoot well from three just haven't. Ben Gold is at 25%. Chase Ross is at 27%. Providence is 202nd in total defense. They cannot defend the perimeter. They are 337th there, but they do have good rim protection. Oswin in the interior has been fine. They're 42nd in interior defense. So a lot of this game is probably just going to depend on what gives. That Marquette poor shooting, or is this Providence unable to defend and Marquette actually hits a few threes, which they haven't in a while. Neither team really turns the ball over much. One thing here is Marquette does force more turnovers. They're 77th in turnovers forced. So if Jason Edwards can't play, his turnover rate is 11%. But when they go to Corey Floyd, it drops to 18.3%. That could be a difference maker. Fouls don't project to play a major role. Both these teams are fast. Excuse me. Thought I would make it through the whole video without that. Still getting over that lingering illness. Anyway, getting to the prediction. Our model has this 84.9 to 83 in favor of Providence. That certainly is the side I lean, but we have Jason Edwards projected in the game. Again, his injury is plantar fasciitis. He's been out for a week now. We don't know his status, but he's important. If we took him out of the model, it would bring this closer to a pick'em. And then I could honestly see playing some Marquette stuff now that they've changed their lineup a little bit. We're going to wait and see how this looks before tip-off, before doing anything. But if we get the green light on Edwards, this will be one that we play towards the Providence side. Let's go to our second game. George Washington takes on George Mason. This is a 3-point spread in favor of George Mason, a 153.5 total. I'll say it, this is the best game of the day. It's being played in the afternoon, which is awesome. No major injuries. We did take an over in this game. The pace is wildly different for these two teams. George Washington likes to run. They're 54th in tempo. George Mason, they'll slow it down. They're 310th. But stylistics aside, George Washington is currently 70th in the country. They're 12-6. Most of their losses are pretty excusable outside of the Delaware home loss they took in non-con. They also dropped a game to Davidson, who's 132. But otherwise, McNeese, Murray State, Florida, and Dayton, all those teams are well within the top 100. Now, they only have one top 100 win over South Florida. It was a 99-95 game on a neutral site. And George Washington is only 236th in strength of schedule. George Mason, they are 17-1, currently 74th in the country. Their schedule has been even weaker than George Washington's. They're 312th. Only loss is to Virginia Tech on the road, but they only have top 100 wins over FAU, who's 91, and VCU, who's 48. VCU was at home. Stylistically, George Washington is 64th in height. George Mason's 129th. Rebounding, George Washington's 27th. George Mason is 45th. George Washington's a little better on the offensive glass. Both these teams are going to be aggressive on that part of the floor. As far as shooting goes, George Washington is 30th in effective field goal percentage, 33rd inside, 61st from three. They do shoot a lot of threes. They're 76th in three-point rate. And when you look at their players, it makes a lot of sense. Christian Jones, 38%. Trey Dinkins, 43. Trey Autry, 40. Those are all really good three-point shooters. They use a lot of pick and rolls with Rafael Castro and Garrett Johnson inside. That opens up the ability to get better looks for Jones, Dinkins, and Autry. This is a good offense. George Mason is decent at defending what George Washington wants to do. They're 117th in total defense, just inside the top 100 inside and out, but there should be avenues for this George Washington team to score. They just have 5 good players on the court, usually at least 4, that can put the ball through the basket through the way they like to play, and they operate well together. George Mason is 75th in effective field goal percentage, 83rd in two-point, 126 in three-point. Corey Mincy's at 41% from three. Jahari Long's at 42%. But most of this offense comes from attacking the rim. They're actually 309th in three-point rate. They do not shoot a lot outside the arc. Riley Allensbach is also good around the rim. He'll play their center position. George Washington is 178th in total defense, 252nd inside and 119th on the perimeter. Rafael Castro and Tyrone Marshall are decent rim protectors, but I'm not sure they're enough to stop this George Mason team, which has been excellent at getting to the rim. As far as the periphery, neither team really turns the ball over much. George Washington's a little worse in turnovers committed. They're 186th. It shouldn't be a big deal in this game. George Mason is 48th in fouls committed and second in fouls drawn. So they're not fouling a lot and they're drawing a ton of fouls. That could be a potential edge there. George Washington does get in foul trouble a decent amount. They're 213th. But overall, even with the pace coming in a little questionable due to George Mason's, both offenses have advantages over the opposing defense. Our model predicts the score 77.5 for George Washington, 79.9 for George Mason. So pretty far above the total of 153.5. If you see 154, stuff like that, I think the number is still fine. Now we get into the mid-majors, low majors. There's some Ivy League stuff on today. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll start this segment off with Stephen F. Austin versus Nicholls. First thing to know on this game, I don't know where the line is going to settle. I saw everything from -1 to +8 this morning. I saw everything in between. There were 4s, 5s, 6s. I mean, I don't know what is going on with this game. I don't know if there's market manipulation, injuries we don't know about, insider information. That's the first thing to know. If you're queasy about any of that, this might not be the best game to play unless you can get the best number, which is a +8 at this time for Stephen F. Austin. Nicholls is the favorite. The total is 143. No major injuries for Stephen F. Austin that I know of. And Nicholls, Jalik Dunkley's missed their last 3 games and Zayden Cross has missed their last game. Again, I don't know what's going on with the line. But I do know that Stephen F. Austin is the 103rd ranked team in the country. Take this with a grain of salt. Their schedule is 3-10. So they have not played a lot of good teams. They do come in 15-3. Losses are semi-respectable. They lost by 2 to Fresno State, who's 140th. UT Arlington and McNeese. All of those games were within 5 points. Now, they only have 3 top 200 wins. They beat number 156 Arkansas State, 198 Rio Grande, and 197 Incarnate Word. So it's still not the best body of work. Really, what's doing the work is these close losses against their good teams. So Nicholls is 216th. The big difference here is Nicholls is 106th in strength of schedule. The exact opposite is Stephen F. Austin. They are 8-10 overall, but they still have some poor losses. They lost a game to number 313 Eastern Kentucky. They also dropped the game to 205 Lamar, but that Eastern Kentucky loss is doing a lot of the work here. It was a 2-point loss on the road. All their other losses are inside the top 200. This team also has 3 top 200 wins over 197 Incarnate Word, 172 Corpus Christi, and 198 Rio Grande. For stylistics, in this game, Stephen F. Austin is 360th in height. They are 50th in rebounding. Nicholls is 207th in height, but 328th in rebounding. I would imagine there is some regression for both teams just based on the schedule they've played. But you look at Stephen F. Austin's lineup, none of their guards are taller than 6'3", and they do use a 6'5" Krishan Christmas at the 4. Nicholls plays 3 dudes that are at least 6'7" or taller, basically at all times. They're a pretty deep team. Shooting-wise, Stephen F. Austin is 176th in effective field goal percentage. They're better shooting threes, 154th out there. They take a fair amount of them. Narit Chico Kavanic is shooting 42%. Cam Crutton is shooting 46%. Those are their 2 elite shooters. But this offense likes to attack the rim and then kick out to those shooters. Nicholls is pretty good defending, though, at those areas, despite coming in 267th in total defense. I think a lot of that is just the opponents they've faced this year. They're not good on paper anywhere, but you can kind of poke a hole in that just based on what they've seen out of conference. Nicholls is 138th in effective field goal percentage, so they're actually better. They're 61st in three-point percentage, 63rd in three-point rate. They're going to bomb threes. Jalen Searles is at 42%. Christian Winburn's at 40%. Z Hamoda off the bench is at 42%. They're another rim attacking offense that'll kick out to these shooters. Stephen F. Austin, it's kind of what they do. So they're good at defending this. And the big difference is Stephen F. Austin is 56th in total defense. Again, it's the opposite of Nicholls. How much do you want to put into them defending these poor teams effectively? But on paper, it does favor Stephen F. Austin. For the periphery, Nicholls is 12th in turnovers forced. Stephen F. Austin rarely turns it over. Neither team fouls, so I don't think this is going to be a big mismatch, but keep your eyes out for Nicholls forcing all those turnovers. Tempo is pretty slow in this game. Stephen F. Austin, 289th. Nicholls, 120th. Our model has this. Stephen F. Austin, 73.9 to Nicholls, 72. So we have this about -2 in favor of Stephen F. Austin. Again, the line is all over the place. I don't know. If you can find anything under a -2, I think it's worthwhile. If you're worried about what's going on in the markets, you could potentially stay away from this game. If you find anything plus money, I think that's okay. Last game we're going to break down in full. Ivy League clash between Princeton and Dartmouth. It's a pick'em, 146 total in this game. No major injuries. Excuse me, my goodness. Princeton is number 231 right now. They're 6-12. They have some bad losses. Outside the top 200, they've dropped games to Vermont, Monmouth, and Merrimack, as well as Iona. But their worst losses to number 306 Loyola Chicago. Their best wins are against Penn, and they did knock off Yale. Yale is number 86 in the country. It's the best team in the Ivy League, perennially almost. The one concern with them is they do not have a road win, and their schedule is 187th. Dartmouth is 223 in the country. They are 8-8. They also have a sub-300 loss to Bryant and one at 284 to Sacred Heart. They have one top 200 win that was over Harvard. Their schedule is ranked 245th. So Princeton's faced a little bit more difficult opponents to this point. Princeton is 226th in height, 203rd in rebounding. Dartmouth is 308th in height, 239th in rebounding, so a potential edge Princeton there. But then on offense, Princeton is 258th in effective field goal percentage. They're really bad inside, 275th, a little better from 3, 208th. And this offense bombs threes. They are 28th in three-point rate. I mean, there's going to be a million threes in this game. Dartmouth is 25th in three-point rate. It's mostly Jackson Hickey at 42%, Jack Stanton at 36.5%. But most of the offense, again, is attacking the rim and kicking out to those guys. That's not a strength defending for Dartmouth. They are 219th in total D. They are decent at defending the 33rd there. The best way to beat this Dartmouth team is via your size inside, where Dartmouth is just not tall. They're 258th in interior defense. But again, Princeton 275th in two-point percentage. It's not a strength. Dartmouth is 90th in effective field goal percent. So a similar offense. They're going to bomb threes, but instead of being 208th in three-point percentage like Princeton, this team is 15th. Kareem Thomas is at 53% from three. Jaden Williams is at 38. Jackson Monroe, 41. Cameron McName, 38. Similar style of game, but Princeton, 160th in total defense, 295th inside, 52nd on the perimeter. Both these teams actually pretty good defending the three. As far as the periphery, both teams are outside the top 300 in turnovers forced. Neither really fouls or generates a lot of fouls. That doesn't project to be a major role. Tempo is very different. Princeton's 300th. Dartmouth is 58th. Our model currently makes us 71.9 to 74.2. I think you can play Dartmouth in a home spot against a team that has not won on the road yet this year. But let's rapid fire our other games quickly. We did take a number of them. So behind the glass, I accidentally shut this tab, so excuse me for the delay. We took, here's just all of them. Stonehill +8, Stephen F. Austin +8.5, Dartmouth +1, Mount St. Mary's against Niagara -2.5, Wagner Fairleigh Dickinson over 39.5, Marist Merrimack under 36.5. And then that over in the George Mason game. Again, we are waiting on Providence for entry information, but that is where we stand right now. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow talking the Tuesday slate. Until then, good luck. Enjoy Martin Luther King Day daytime games. Enjoy the national championship. We'll be back here again soon. Good luck.